cue you. I'll cue you. Good morning. Well, it's good to see you. We made it here today. I understand there's been a little snow in the higher elevations and a little snow in Portland on the way down, and even from Woodburn there was snow, but we're here. Oh, can't you hear me? I am. Oh, if I get any closer, Neil, you will not like it. It'll be way too loud. Thank you, Neil. Oh, goodness. Well, welcome to Woodland Chapel, Center for Spiritual Living. We are a center full of life, full of energy, full of love. I don't know if you've been looking at the publications we've been giving every week by way of email, but there are quite a few things scheduled for this week. First of all, is there anyone here for the very first time? Anyone here? No? Okay, we're all family, we're all friends. That's wonderful. All right, we get a program for everyone. That's wonderful. Hugs are freely given here, along with the goodness of heart and the joy of spirit. We just love having you here. Let's just go to the announcements at this point, and if I can read these, we'll be in really good shape. Oh, next week we have a wonderful speaker. I know everyone loves him. His name is Reverend Don Kerr, and he'll be speaking on Into We See. Ooh, that'll be interesting. We're invited to the monthly potluck, which is right after this service. Our Christmas tree decorating then will occur after you've had something to eat at the potluck. Come on upstairs. The tree is here. We've got some ornaments and probably some lights. We have a workshop scheduled for the 18th. That's the third Sunday of December. And our practitioner, Cheryl Guess, who's in back in black, keeping warm, is going to present a workshop on grief during the holidays. Our Christmas Eve candle lighting will be here at 7 o'clock. That's, of course, on the 24th. And Sunday morning, Reverend Don will be speaking again. And we'll have our meditation and Sunday service. Potluck on Christmas Day. We'll hopefully have a sheet of people out there to indicate interest in that. So we'll just see. And our silent auction is going to start on January the 1st. Are there any other announcements that we think we need to make at this time? We do have a, thank you, Greg. Yes, we do. I'm counting on the Marion Polk food share to get the barrels here. But yes, we'll start collecting, and then we collect through December 26th. So we'll be plenty of time to bring some good food. And there's a list of preferred foods that you could find on the email I sent out both times. How many of you are preparing for something? Anything? This is kind of a season of preparation, right? Well, many people are preparing for Christmas, getting ready, their gifts and their ideas and plans for family to visit and meals to get ready for. Well, it's kind of that way too with our spiritual lives. We're always in preparation. I really feel that life itself is a gift that allows us to be in the present moment and at the same time anticipate the goodness that will be further revealed as we move through our spiritual path. So this morning we're going to take up a very time-honored tradition. It's called the Advent wreath. Is everybody familiar with the Advent wreath? Anybody not familiar with it? Not? Okay, well, the Advent wreath is a tradition that started a number of centuries ago. And each Sunday in Advent, then, at the Sunday service, there's a candle that's lit. And so there are 4 Sundays before Christmas. Actually, the first Sunday was last Sunday, and this is the second Sunday of Advent. And so we'll continue that tradition. And I have a few things to say about that, which I wrote down. So I will consult my notes. Advent itself is a word from the Latin adventus, meaning coming or visit. This is the first of 4 Sundays we'll do the first and second today, before Christmas and ends on Christmas Eve. Advent is the beginning of the liturgical year for many Christian churches, and the Advent wreath began in the time of the Protestant reformer Martin Luther, so somewhat of a newer tradition. If that's new. The Advent wreath can be 4 or 5 candles placed on a wreath of evergreen, as you can see, and the wreath is shaped in a perfect circle to symbolize the eternity of God. In our center, we use the 3 purple candles and 1 pink candle for the fourth Sunday in Advent. The larger candle, the white one in the middle, is known as the Christ candle, and it will be lit during our Christmas celebration. While the Advent wreath with its 4 candles did bring light to churches, it was not to illumine the interior as much as to symbolize the coming of the Christ. For us, it symbolizes our conscious acceptance of our continuing awakening to the Christ principle within. During each Sunday of the Advent season, we focus on one of the 4 soul values we want to experience as part of our spiritual growth. And this morning it'll be on faith and on love. Then will come joy, on the 3rd Sunday, and peace. The order and exact wording for the candles vary among the churches, but the wreath continually reminds us that we are expressions of the one light, Spirit itself, and that we grow daily in our consciousness. Today's candle symbolizes faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is a mental attitude so fiercely embraced that our minds can no longer deny it. It's complete when it is both consciously and subjectively accepted. In our spiritual terminology, faith means a belief in the presence of an invisible principle and law which directly and specifically responds to us. Thy faith has made thee whole. That's all right. And the second candle is on a tradition among the 4, and we just met. Love, then, is for the second candle. We know love is the implosion of divinity into our world. In this New Testament we read, everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. That's in the first epistle of John. Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, love is free from condemnation, even as it is free from fear. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. We light the second purple candle to remind us of love. I think it's time for Ari and Peter to lead our congregational song. Are we standing for this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So,
And the words are in the program?
I'm going to sing Lean on Me
Lean
by Bill
on
Withers.
Me. All right.
Please join us. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow.
Lean on me
When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow. You don't let show. So you just call on me, brother, when you need a friend. We all need somebody Nice job, everybody.
Thank you. We belong to a community and we're here to help one another. That's what I take out of that song. Wow, wonderful. At this point now, we'd like to do some prayer work, and we have a distinguished person here to do that, our practitioner, Cheryl Ostrander.
Wow. Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. I invite you to take a few moments and settle in. Turn within to that place that always knows the truth. That place that knows the connection, the love, an often used word, love, knows the truth about that love and connection and that personhood that we all feel. I invite you to release any busyness that has brought you here, any thoughts that are other than those of connection and love, any thoughts, any stories, anything that has come before that denies that connection. I know that Spirit has brought us here together to rejoice, to celebrate, to be part of a community we call Woodland Chapel. And for those who've chosen another path for their morning, they too are one with that Spirit. I know in my heart that love and connection are here. Community is here. The message is an expression of that connection. The music is an expression of that connection. All parts of this service are celebrating our oneness. I know we take this oneness and this connection out into the world and own it. Our personness, our divine personness, that God spark that lives within each of us. I know that this morning holds an excitement, an anticipation of the coming events. It holds a sense of peace, a sense of anticipation, sometimes a sense of grief. But we celebrate all those emotions and we connect together. And with a grateful heart, I release this word into the law, knowing it is done as spoken. For in my heart I know it is true. Together, please affirm, and so it is. And we have an affirmation. My longing to belong is now fulfilled by the cosmic current circulating through me, and I experience this at the level of my belief in community, and so it is.
At this time, we'll enjoy a reading by Shannon Preem from the Science of Mind magazine article for today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This has the very same title as our session today, Longing to Belong. It's from December 4th, written by Reverend Karen Wilson. Yeah, it's really, I love this one. It really applies today. These always start with a couple of inspirational quotes. The beloved community unfolds as us. And that's from John Lockhart, the beloved community author. The second one is, what would happen if we would convert the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt and uncertainty into a feeling of belonging to the universe and being safe in it? That's from Ernest Holmes, Living the Science of Mind. The spiritual path can be a lonely one. I spent nearly 20 years in my quest for community until I stumbled into Centers for Spiritual Living in Kelowna, Canada. That snowy morning, I awoke determined to visit this community I had heard about. When the battery died on my car, I found another way to get there. Nothing deterred me. Not knowing a person there, I believed myself to be the outsider. And I acted the part. I didn't talk to anyone, didn't make eye contact, simply slipped in, and just as quickly slipped out. And yet something struck me as I listened each week to the talks, and I realized I wasn't an outsider here. While I didn't know anyone, I felt I knew the soul of everyone as expressed in this space. And in that awareness, I cracked open right there in the seat. A congregant approached me and gently asked if I was okay. Here it was, right in front of me, simple kindness and speaking heart to heart. In that moment, I knew I was home. My false belief that I could be an outsider dissolved as I felt my sense of separation vanish amid community. This ends with a lovely affirmation. My heart recognizes the soul of life operating through my day. I belong. Thank you. Uh-oh.
Now it's time for some special music. Take it away.
We're going to do a song here called The Gift of Your Love, originally recorded by Leanne Rimes. No, nothing that you could give me would compare to the gift of your love. Not a star in the heavens, not a diamond so rare, no light compares to the gift of your love. So don't buy me anything, 'cause all I ever need is for me to fall deeper into you, and you deeper into me. I wouldn't know how to wish for the heavenly love.
Nothing can compare to the gift of your love.
Want you to know that you saved me like
only
love can dare. Nothing can compare to the gift of your love. Every breath I breathe is a prayer
for the gift of your love.
Thank you very much. Wow, thank you. Oh my God, you guys are so good.
A brief introduction. Is anyone here new to this powerful speaker we have this morning? Her name is Reverend Julie Applegate. Anybody first time? All right, well, welcome her. Absolutely.
Wow, well, I really needed that. You guys, any of you guys know that children's book, The Very Bad, No Good Day? Yeah, and you've all had one of those very bad, no good days? Okay, so I had a very bad, no good morning. Well, it started out okay, but it turns out I have like 3 printers. One of them I gave to my son because it was too heavy. The other one, I ran out of ink this morning. And the other one, as I went to use it, turns out my son had set it up for my daughter's iMac, and I couldn't get it to run on my thing. And I want you to know, I handled that very well, as Paul will attest. I did, honestly. And I called my son, and I said, I need you to fix my printer. And he used to do the sound in my church. And he always said, well, I never actually listened to your messages. But he listened enough to tell me that he said, I think, Mom, you have a very bad printer consciousness. Yeah. So anyway, we shall do the best we can this morning. And I am so glad you're all here, and I'm just jazzed. And the song, the music is so perfect. And the affirmation. I've got to be careful. I did get a message from someone who listens online and said, don't stand away from the microphone, please. But our affirmation this morning is so perfect. My longing to belong is now fulfilled by cosmic currents circulating through me. And I experience this at the level of my belief in community. Wow. So this week, our topic is longing to belong. And doesn't that just have this warm, resonant feeling? I just love that. It felt so wistful as a topic. And, you know, it's part of the human person, part of our human condition to want to belong and needing to belong. We used to be tribal, and fortunately, hopefully, we're moving gradually away from just being tribal, or evolving into this idea that we are one people, one globe, one universe. And it's a bumpy ride, isn't it? It can be hard work because we get into our own little sphere, but we're getting there. And it can be a bumpy road because we don't know the way. There's no road map. We haven't been there before. We haven't been there before as a human population. But the road map exists in the fact that we are on the level of Spirit One. And the more of us, of course, that come to know that, the greater we'll be able to have this experience of peace on earth, really, to have peace on earth, knowing that we are actually just like each other. So this thing, we are all, we're longing to belong, but we already belong, We just have to, So we just have to get in touch with that inner place. And of all of these shootings that go on, which are just like so traumatic to, I know, most of our hearts, it's just so hard to hear. Most of those shooters are loners. And they felt like they didn't belong anywhere. They had no belonging. So this urge to be destructive. And I think that this urge within us for belonging is a constructive one. So, to be part of something like that, Shannon's reading this morning, to be loved. We have this desire within us to love, to be part of something, to be not alone. there's that fear alone, and I think that's what erupts in violence, in the sense of aloneness. So when I was 5 years old, and my grandmother and I were walking home from church in this Methodist church in this little town that they had a winter home in Arizona. And we got about 2/3 of the way home, and there's 2 main roads in this town. And I managed to get to the middle of it, which was about a block from our house, and I laid down in the middle of the road and pitched a colossal tantrum. Now, I don't remember what the issue was. I'm sure it was quite important. But I do remember the event. And as it turns out, that was the last time my grandmother went to church with me till I was 12. But fortunately, we had these neighbors, and they didn't know about the tantrum. So they asked if they could take me to church with them, and they had wanted to adopt me. That was, of course, they didn't know about the tantrum. And so I started going to the Baptist church with them. And then they moved away, and I continued to walk to the Baptist church. And I went to that church until I was 12, and they built a Mormon church, and then my grandmother would go with me again. And then, of course, I switched over, being very loyal to the Methodists because they had the funnest youth group. And I don't remember being actually religious, given all this church going. Nobody ever made me go to church. I just went on my own, and it wasn't because I was particularly religious. I was seeking the truth. Even as a kid, I figured somewhere out there was truth. And then as a teen, I became a Catholic. I joined the Catholic Church. And what I loved about the Catholic Church, well, a lot of things I loved, but one of the things that I really valued was no matter where you went and traveled outside of the country, you could go to Mass and it would be the same. And I really felt like I belonged to something bigger than myself. And I was thinking about that when I was given this topic to speak on. I was thinking about, particularly as a Catholic, where I think all my church going was probably about a belonging, because it didn't change my behavior too much. Yeah, I mean, I was a kid. What do you want? But being this Catholic, and that was one of the sad things when I no longer believed in that particular belief system. That was one of the things I really missed. And even today, there's kind of this longing for, I can go to Mass, I know exactly what's going on and everything, but I don't belong really anymore. I can in certain ways, if it's in Latin, but no, that's how old I am. But it was that sense of belonging to something bigger than yourself, to be a part of something. And I realized how important it was. And then I found New Thought, and oh, joy of joys, I am home. I am really home. And I go, this idea of belonging really hit me. I hadn't been home for a few years. I have, as you guys are listening to me, every summer I go, or periodically I go to Idaho, to the house I grew up in on the farm where I was raised, which I'm so fortunate to be able to do that. And what I had not gone back for a few years as we were working and all of our kids were in college and everything, and I went back and I realized, because I didn't belong, I didn't join the church, and I had gone away and I'd done different things that I thought I was different. I thought I was really kind of different than the rest of the family. But then I went home, and it was like this sense of belonging, of knowing. It's an intangible thing. When you go to your home, or your people, or your community, you have this shared experience that somehow speaks deeper to the soul. This idea of belonging. And it's not like it's always, we don't all think alike. We're not all the same. So it's not like there aren't any rough edges, but this sense of belonging. And I get that here. I love this, and I do think about this often when I walk in downstairs. And the community, where the people are fixing snacks and lunch and coffee and everything for everyone. There's this sense of being part of something, and it really resonates with me. So the interesting thing, though, about belonging to something, it's also where our gifts can emerge. Our purpose can come into our wholeness. And how can this desire to be part of something really speak to something bigger, like the emerging of our gifts and our purpose? And I'm often asked, as a minister, how do I find my purpose? Well, I'm not so sure we go out and find our purpose. I think we just begin to do those things that are in front of us. We begin to belong to something. We begin to share into something, and it opens up something within us. That's kind of what I have come to realize, that our purpose then begins to emerge, and our gifts begin to be drawn out of us. So there, how can we do this? I look at the ways we can become more engaged in community, because really it is the place where our gifts emerge. It is the place where our wholeness can come into being. And I know that might sound like, well, what has wholeness got to do with belonging? But it has everything to do with it. So know that everything that happens is material for creation. And things happen in community. They happen in belonging. Belonging, whether it's in relationship, whether it's with our work, whether it's with our church, whether it's, whether it's going shopping downtown, there's a part of us that is in a place of belonging. And it's not always love and joy. But everything there is material for us. And when you and I are in relationship, and I know I don't think I'm speaking just for me, but things come up to be healed, right? Has anybody ever experienced that in a relationship? Actually, I didn't think they came up to be healed. I thought they came up for the other person to get fixed. No, that's true. I learned about the healing later. I'm still in the fixing mode sometimes, but am I the only one that is still in a fixing mode? Yeah. No, I'm not. Jeez. Sometimes I tell him he can stay home, and So I have belonged in a lot of communities, obviously, as a participant, as a volunteer, as a leader. And what I will tell you as a volunteer, every skill I have, now I am not, and my education, I don't think, prepared me for anything but to know things, which I really like to do, by the way. But everything I learned as a skill that was useful and transferable was from volunteer work. Absolutely everything. And every gift that I have to give. And when I got into doing a lot more leadership, what emerged there was all the weaknesses that I needed to look at. So this idea of relationship, sometimes in relationship like me and when I leadership, the things I thought were my strengths were actually my weaknesses, as they became evident in relationship and in community and in belonging. So our real purpose, I think, in this idea of belonging is to come to know who we really are. See, we long for what is already within us, that somehow is hidden and submerged. And that's what we're longing for. We're longing for the revelation of the divine within us. We are. Because you know what, you guys, we are called to be holy. We are really called to be holy. And every opportunity, as if you haven't guessed already, will be presented. And what happens a lot of times, and I know this from my own experience, I only speak from my own experience, is that at that point, we often opt out. Like, this is really hard. This is just too hard. It's going to take too much out of me. And I one time, I really tried to be really good. I went to Catholic boarding school. I had a lot of rough edges, but the nuns really, really worked at smoothing those out. And so by the time I got to college, I thought, okay, now I'm starting fresh in a new place. I am going to be so good. I followed every rule. And by the end of the year, I mean, I'd had a lot of fun, but not near the amount of fun I could have had I not tried to be so good. And because what was that idea of trying to be good was this idea that somebody else told me how I had to be. And you guys, what I want to say here in community, sometimes there's leaders, not at this church, because none of us will tell you what to do. But sometimes there are leaders that do tell you how you should be and what you should do. And it flies in the face of who you are sometimes, doesn't it? Ignore it. Ignore it. Because who you are as an individual is sacred and holy. And it is only for that to emerge from each one of us individually. So Eckhart Tolle said, you do not become good by trying to be good, but by finding the goodness that is already within you and allowing it to emerge. But it can only emerge if something fundamentally changes in your state of consciousness. And that's, when I realized that trying to be perfect, what I was saying to myself as who I wasn't good enough. And so in community and in belonging, how many of you have tried to be a certain person so that everybody will like you? What is that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People? I mean, it's got some good ideas, but what is that saying to ourselves? And when we try to do that, who we are as this holy being cannot emerge. And when we cannot be our authentic self, you know what happens? The gift that we have to give is not fully available to be expressed. Does that make sense? Because if we're not fully who we are, how can we give fully what we have to give? How can our purpose you guys, my purpose was never to be a minister or a mother or whatever. My purpose was to reveal the divinity within me, and through how I was able to do that, then I could do what these other ideas like being a minister came to me. But it was in the focusing on these spiritual practices that an idea that would have otherwise been so incredibly foreign to me. Does that make sense? That if we're not who we are, how can we give what we have to give? Gandhi had this, you've heard this, I'm sure. He said, I have only 3 enemies. My favorite, the British Empire, the one most easily influenced for the better. 2, my second enemy is the Indian people. They are far more difficult. But my most formidable component is a man named Mahatma K. Gandhi. With him, I seem to have very little influence. So I want to say something about that, because we cannot change by willpower alone. I mean, just wait until February to find that out. We cannot... will is used a couple ways, and of course we always think of it as willpower. The other way I have learned in metaphysics is will is directive. Where do I direct my focus? Where do I put my will to be? So, in truly belonging, we are looking in a mirror, are we not? And so it is not by willpower that I suddenly become something. It is by willing to put my focus, being willing, to choosing to put my focus on looking in the mirror. And that can only happen in relationship, in community. Can it not? We see ourselves reflected back. We see our beauty. People will tell us wonderful things, and they are true. And we will come up against struggles, and those are informative. And it's interesting in focusing on our own process there. It's that will to heal, that will to grow, that willingness to look, to be seen and to look. You know, and I was thinking about that because I had done something to my thumb and it got all inflamed and it hurt. It really hurt to touch it. But what I knew was the inflammation was healing. And so I invite us today, I guess, to look at some of that inflammation in our life as perhaps a healing process if we're willing to accept it. And it's okay if we shout it aside, it'll come back again. You know, I have this friend about belonging and moving into the deepest experience. This friend, this is true, she belonged to a church that she loved and she'd been involved with all her life. She absolutely loved it. She participated in it. It was her family and all of that. And then she and I, searching around, found New Thought. And it was like, whoa. Our whole way of thinking began to be transformed. And what happened for her, now she is, you know, she saw no problem in joining both churches. And I was like, okay, that's no problem. Just go to both churches, whatever. And so, but what happened is the people at her original church found out that she was a member of both churches. Well, she loved her community. She loved this community that she'd gone to and participated in. But she loved New Thought, and it was changing her life. So she was called before the council, the guys in this church. This is true. And I said, you don't have to go. You don't have to meet with those guys. You could just do what you want to do. She's like, no, I want to show them love. And I want to show them that it's okay and that you can love all ways. And she thought, I think, that they would accept that and she could still belong to both churches. Didn't work that way. They excommunicated her. And I think they asked her a bunch of questions like, they discovered that she believed in that gay lifestyles were okay and all that. And she's a very honest person, so she answered honestly. And then she got excommunicated. But, you know, but she still held that in, it was sad. Because if you lost a community, you know, sometimes we will move on. We'll move on from relationships. We'll move on. Whether it's growth on one part, growth on another part, or just the right time for something else, is we often move on, don't we? And like for her, it was very, very painful and sad. And that too is a part of us. We have to be willing sometimes to embrace that sadness, just to let it be. So, the second thing I want to tell you about this, and this is the deepest, and this is really the way of deeper belonging is through emptiness. And that sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? It's the paradox that often comes up in spiritual teaching. To belong is also to be empty. We talked about will and focus. The other word I want to leave you with today is insight. Insight, not war on ourselves, not war on who we are, not war on if we could just be better or be more or do it right. And oh my God, did I do that one more time? You know, just not war on ourselves, not trying with willpower, but insight. And allowing this to let us go into emptiness. And I don't think that's something that can be taught for any of us. It can only be held as an intention and begin our practices. To be in that place of emptiness. M. Scott Peck, in his book called Different Drama on Community, he said, there's only two ways out of conflict, and anytime we're part of a belonging in any form, conflict will probably arise. I mean, just read the advice columns. Seriously, the things you can get in trouble for what you wear to a wedding, I never knew. But conflict can just come up in the oddest places. I did read that the other day, because sometimes, don't you all read them? Am I the only one that likes to read a little bit of gossip here and there? The only one out is organization, to redo or rearrange. And that's often our go-to way. And that can bring about order, but it won't bring about intimacy or deeper belonging. The other way, he said, is through emptiness. Letting go of what we know. Guys, letting go of what we know. This is the challenging part, isn't it? Our feelings, our assumptions, he says, our ideas, our motivations, our intentions, our preconceived ideas. Let them all go. Let them all go. And stand in this place of emptiness. I do not know. Perhaps maybe that's what happens at hitting bottom for AA. I do not know. But there is something within me that does know. So I stand in this place of emptiness and I invite it. Jack Kornfield, who I have to share this story. Have any of you ever read Jack Kornfield? There's actually this book out in the library, I noticed. I love him so much. No, I haven't met him actually, but I still love him. So he's an individual, a Jewish guy, who got into Buddhism in college, and then he went to live in a monastery in the woods and study with a master, and he did that for 5 years. And he said, in the summer of 1972, I returned to the home of my parents in Washington, D.C., head shaved, robed as a Buddhist monk, after my first 5-year study in Asia. No Theravada Buddhist monasteries had been established in America at that time, but I wanted to see how it would be to live as a monk in America, even if only for a short while. After several weeks with my parents, I decided to visit my twin brother and his wife on Long Island. With my robes and bowl, I boarded a train en route from Washington to New York's Grand Central Station. carrying a ticket my mother had purchased for me. As a renunciate, I was not using or handling money myself. I arrived that afternoon and began to walk up Fifth Avenue to meet my sister-in-law. I was still very calm after so many years of practice. I walked as if I were meditating, letting shops such as Tiffany's and the crowds of passerbys be the same in my mind as the wind and the trees in my forest monastery. I was to meet my sister-in-law in front of Elizabeth Arden's. She had been given a birthday certificate for a full day of care in that establishment, including facial, hairdo, massage, manicure, and more. I arrived at Elizabeth Arden's at 4 o'clock as promised, but she did not appear. After some period of waiting, I went inside. "May I help you?" exclaimed the shocked receptionist as I entered. "Yes, I'm looking for Tori Kornfeld." "Oh," she replied, "she's not finished yet." There's a waiting lounge on the 4th floor. So I took the elevator to the 4th floor. Coming out of the door, I met the waiting lounge receptionist, who also inquired in a slightly incredulous tone, "May I help you?" I told her I was waiting for my sister-in-law and was instructed to take a seat. I sat on a comfortable couch, and after waiting a few minutes, I decided to cross my legs, close my eyes, and meditate. I was a monk after all, and what else was there to do? After 10 minutes, I began to hear laughter and noise. I continued to meditate, but finally I heard a group of voices and a loud exclamation of, "Is he for real?" What caused, there were 8 or 10 women dressed in Elizabeth Arden 90s, the gowns given them for the day, and they were all staring at me. Many had their hair in rollers or in other multiple fishing reel-shaped contraptions. Several had what looked like green avocado smeared on their faces. Others were covered with mud. I looked back and wondered at them what realm I had been born into, and heard myself say, "Are they for real?" And he goes on. Letting go of how we think things should look and how they should be. And when we come up against how they are not how we think they should be, what are our reactions? And to use this as material for insight, to go deeper into this emptiness. And in that emptiness, this idea of letting go into emptiness, letting go of all our preconceived ideas, and in insight, watching ourselves. So you see, that's the practice, watching ourselves. This is mysticism, you guys. Mysticism isn't something strange and for just somebody. It is for all of us. Because mysticism is the union with that which is. And it's only when we let go that we actually have power, because we're not coming from the limited human power, but from that infinite reservoir that exists for us. That infinite reservoir. See, the longing, I think, at core is our soul's calling to itself. This wholeness, this essence of mystical practice that's always trying to emerge in us. And that's why we're drawn to religions or rituals or whatever we're drawn to, or drugs even. Because there is this longing within us yet to be satisfied. And in spiritual life, of course, it's not what we get, but what we give. Like this wonderful song, "Lean on Me." I am there for you. We give ourselves, and when we give ourselves, we are dealing with our fears. and our fear of rejection and our fear of limitation and our fear of not being loved. You know, sometimes I think that this source of our being is trying to trick us. We have all these desires, but at heart it's leading us back to itself, to the realization of who we are, to the revelation of who we are, out of which all of our greatness then can emerge, out of which all can emerge. So, and I would ask us today to look at all life today. Are we ready to belong? Are we ready to say that I am part of a greater whole? I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. I will tell you a little story as we close. I just thought of this. At home, there's cattle on the ranch, and my daughter took a picture of this bull. He's so beautiful. He's a Hereford. He's red and white, and he has this curly white face. And so I have this picture, and I look at him, and I think, what a magnificent being. And those eyes, you know, if you ever looked at cows' eyes, maybe you haven't. But if you have, they are so amazing. And I look at that, and I think, wow, we are just like one being on earth. And as a result, I can no longer eat beef. But that's okay. I find I eat plenty of stuff anyway. So today, I think of that poor little cow. Actually, it's a bull, so he's probably going to hang around for a while. So I just invite you to take a breath this morning. And to just be with yourself and to breathe deeply and to let it out slowly for as long as it takes to be fully present and comfortable and to let go of all around you. And as you do, I just invite you to be aware of yourself. Well, actually, this body that this self is living in right now, that which you are is living in this body. And just be aware of its experience right now, whatever that is. Whatever you brought with you today, whatever you're thinking about this afternoon, concerns, just watch and be aware. No judgment. And take this practice with you, for it's a holy practice. And each one of us is a divine being, and that is so, and so it is. And so perhaps for this week as a practice, we could just practice some mindfulness and just be aware of what we're thinking and feeling, no judgment, just practice the awareness. What am I feeling now? Oh, this is happening. What am I feeling now? And who? Okay, here is the deep spiritual practice in all traditions, is the practice of asking, who am I? Who is doing the feeling? Who is having the experience? Namaste, guys.
Valerie and Peter are going to bring us some special music.
We are. Thank you, Julie. That was really beautiful. I just wanted to share that I have had quite a year of growth myself in the way I show up in the world this year. I really stepped into a new part of being authentic and myself, and sharing my music, the gift of the way music moves through me, is something that I have really stepped into this year, and it's really been special and magical, and I'm grateful to be here and have made this connection with you all. And Peter and I have grown in our connection this year through music, and it's been really special. And on that note, Spirit moved through me this week in choosing this song. I don't know if you all heard, but Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac passed away this past week. And Fleetwood Mac has been very influential on me and my love of music. And so we're going to play Songbird. And I think what I want to say is to just hear these words and let them hit you. Let them hit your heart.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining, and I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. I know it's right. To you, I give the world. To you, I'll never be cold. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. I know it's right. And the songbirds are singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. And I wish you all the love in the world. Oh, but most of all, I wish it from myself. And the songbirds keep singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. Like never before. Like never before. Thank you.
Wow, that was sweet. Thank you. Love you as ever before. Oh, yes. Well, we've expressed the love this morning, have we not? Have you felt it? Have you been part of that? the wonderful gifts that we've had when Ruth did her meditation and Cheryl did the invocation this morning, and the beautiful music from Ari and Peter, and from all of the readings from Shannon, and wonderful talk by Reverend Julie. It's all a gift. It's a gift from the heart. It's a gift from within to express this community and how we belong together. So at this time, we have an opportunity to support one another through the gifts of money to help keep this organization present and alive for all of us. So if you have a gift in your hand or in mind, let us read together our offering affirmation, which is at the bottom of the first page. And it starts off with divine love. Are you ready? All right. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Now for the offertory song, would Shannon and... Yeah, sure.
So give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Yes, give yourself to love. Love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter. Yes, give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Yes, give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Life itself is a gift. The gifts that we share here this morning are a tangible part of this life circulating power that we know to be the love and the energy and the goodness of the infinite manifesting itself in us and through us and as us. Each of us this morning gives of the heart, gives of the soul, and we just accept this gift right here and right now as we say together, and so it is. Let's move forward now to our prayer of protection. Would you like to stand for this morning? All right. It begins with the word, the light. Are we ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let's sing together. Wonderful song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. She